Morning, everybody. It is 8:12 a.m., July 8th. Welcome to my channel. Yesterday, we closed lower. All right, we finally had, well, I wouldn't say finally, but we had a little bit of a correction. Really doesn't change anything. We hit really big level in the NASDAQ that I talked about yesterday, and we reclaimed that level. We also reclaimed the level in the ES, which I'll go into in detail later. Trump did move the trade deadline from July 9th to August 1st, and then he talked about imposing tariffs on, what was it? I had it written down here. I know South Korea. Originally, it was Japan and South Korea, and then eventually some other countries. So that sent the market going lower, and then basically got bought up into the session. Yesterday, also Nasdaq, the NQ Tech was relatively strong yesterday, so that was definitely there was a big disconnect between the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq yesterday. Definitely, eventually the Nasdaq turned lower, but it definitely was not as weak. Okay, today there's really no data coming out to speak of for today. All right. So without further ado, welcome to my channel. My name is Steven Gonzalez. I use market profile and volume profile to find structure in the markets, along supply and demand, gamma exposure levels, the most traded price of the year, the month, the week, and the previous day. That is my edge, and that is what helps me come up with a game plan using those levels. I also use Anchor VWAPs, and once the market opens, I use my market internals. Okay, that helps me see what's under the hood of the markets. Okay, now hopefully you join me every morning and come here and you get the market story. Okay, leaders and laggards, the market news, the economic calendar, and a bunch of TA to follow. All right, then I give you long and short trade scenarios in the ES and the Nasdaq futures. Okay, as always, if you want to join me when the market opens and see my live commentary, you can join my Discord at Confluence Trading. Go to my YouTube homepage, click on the link. Hope to see you there. If you have any questions, I will answer. All right. Now, we're going to move on to futures and let's see what's moving markets today. All right. Leading the pack, Ethereum. FOB is up 1.41, Bitcoin's up 0.75, 10-year yield's up 0.50, Russell's up 0.38, Nasdaq's up 0.28, yes up 0.11. The dollar is pretty much flat. Crude is pretty much flat. The Dow is down 0.10, gold down 0.13, silver down 0.15, 30-year bonds being sold down 0.25, and the VIX is down 4.5%, 4.5%, let's say. Okay, moving on to the Mag 7 Plus here. AMD. AMD is leading the pack up 1.94. Now AMD hit a key gamma level yesterday at 134, reclaimed that level, and now is pushing back up. Okay. As far as Tesla, let's see, Tesla also fell pretty far yesterday, hit a key gamma level as well. That level was 290. All right, that is positive this morning, up 1.14%. Coinbase up 0.90, Broadcom up 0.77, Nvidia up 0.73, Meta's up 0.55, Google's up 0.38, Amazon up 0.34, Boeing up 0.24, Netflix up 0.18, and Apple pretty much flat, Microsoft flat. Berkshire Hathaway is flat. I am looking at Berkshire Hathaway for a possible long, possibly. Okay, that's been kind of beaten up. We'll have to see. It's the number one holding in financial sector. Okay. Eli Lilly is the largest holding in the healthcare sector, which is flat now, and JP Morgan's down 0.71. Is there a reason? Not that I know of right now. Okay, but JP Morgan down 0.71. Anything to note in the top sectors? Not really. Let's move on to sectors. And we have semis. Semis leading the pack today, up 0.55. Technology up 0.33. Discretionary up 0.24. Okay, the laggard today is financials. The laggard today is financials. Okay. Now, we're going to get into what are we going to get into? Let's get right into economic calendar. Some news. There's really not much on the economic calendar at all. Okay, so here's your economic calendar. All right, so today, consumer inflation expectations has a 1 star. So I just put the 1 star because it's not much. 52 bill week auction, 3-year auction at 430 API crude. That's really, there's not much today. Okay. Moving on to some news here. Let's see. Amazon stock rose 0.3 when the online retail giant kicked off its Prime Day. So it's Prime Day today in Amazon. Tesla stock rose 0.9, rebounding from after the previous session hefty losses as investors indicated disappointment at CEO Elon Musk. Okay, Oracle stock rose 1.2 after Jefferies lifted its target price on the software giant. JP Morgan Chase, here we go. Stock fell 0.3 and Goldman Sachs dropped 0.4 after HSBC downgraded both U.S. banking giants to reduce from hold. Our Enphase Energy shares dropped 3% and Solar Edge Technologies fell 5.3 after President Donald Trump issued an executive order aiming to strengthen rules repealing or limiting tax credits for solar. Robinhood stock rose 0.8 after CEO Vlad Tenev said the crypto exchange is in discussions with regulators regarding its tokenized equities offering in Europe. All right, what's else going on here? Japan and South Korea face 20% tariffs as Trump ramps up trade war. We talked about that before. In the Fed hunt for a reason to cut rates, survey and tariffs make answers elusive. Samsung flags big missing Q2 profit, blames U.S. AI chip curbs to China. Let's see. Exxon signals lower oil. Gas prices could hit second quarter profit. So what I saw the other day is a lot of people are leaving places to go to Meta. So this says Meta Platforms, Apple's top executive in charge of artificial intelligence models. I don't know how to say this name. Ruio Ming Tang is leaving the company for Meta Platforms. Okay. Just trying to see other news. Let's see some price here. Netflix, TD Cohen raises target price to $14.40 from $13.25. PepsiCo, TD Cohen cuts target price to $130 from $135. American Express, TD Cohen raises target price to $320 from $270. All right. In the juice, we have Trump's cabinet meeting at 11 a.m. today. There's not much else to talk about in the juice. And is there any notable upgrades and downgrades? If it doesn't upgrade, okay, here we go. Upgrades. Anything here? Not really. Downgrades. Let's see if there's anything notable here. Not really. And we're going to move on. All right, let's move on. Let's just look at the market internals from yesterday. We'll give a little market internals update here. So you can see pretty bearish. Okay, you can see in the SPX here we broke this gamma flip point for the day for yesterday, and then we just roll over. Okay, this 6225 was a large negative gamma level. Actually had a long right around here, and then I took some profits, and then I got my break even. And then I said in my Discord, I said I think we need to break the low a day to get back up, and that's exactly what happened. So, green day, but small green. So, and then as far as internals, you can see this white line represents equal weight. Okay, you can see this was lower than the market cap. That was represented because tech and consumer discretionary were not as weak. Okay, now remember, all these numbers are from the open. These are not from the close of Thursday. All right, so it's very important to understand that. I know Tesla was down, but Tesla opened and actually off the open was positive. Okay, that's a very important distinction. All right, that's your market internals. We're going to move over to the daily charts. All right, let's look at these daily charts. Now, one thing you'll note on my chart, okay, I'm starting to put this in on my chart just so I can always recognize it. Okay, it's the weekly expected moves in the market. Okay, so every day, every week, usually on a Friday close. Last week was a Thursday close. There's an expected moves derived from the options. Okay, so yesterday, I'm just now that you can see my charts, right? The black line will represent the close of the previous week, right here, and then the red line is the expected move to the downside. The green line is the expected move to the upside. So generally, the market tends to 70% of the time stay within this range, the close. Okay, you can see that range is pretty good. Even this market here, when the market dipped and that was the low on April 7th, see that expected move was right here, and it closed. That candle was the low. See this expected move. See how it closes within. It's very 70% of the time it's going to be correct. So that just gives you a good judge to see how far extended we are. And the options market really drives the stock market, so it's a good thing to have on your charts. Okay? So this is the daily charts. I don't know if I put this up or not. Let's get rid of this little trend line here. All right, let's just look at yesterday. Yesterday we sold off, right? We broke last month's highs, but we closed back close to the middle of the range. Okay? Where are we at now? We closed at 620. We're at 621.50 right now. So 621.50. We are right in the middle of yesterday. Okay, in the middle of yesterday. Again, that's not my favorite place to be. We're going to look at futures here. Okay, let's look at futures here. Price is right here. Okay, in the middle of last week's range. That's basically where we're at. All right, go into the Qs. The Qs also had a nice little sell-off here. All right, came actually up to a previous weekly high that acted as support. Okay, where are we now? 553.67, 553.67. Right here in the upper third of yesterday's session. So relatively stronger, the Qs. Nasdaq futures, you can see here's the middle. We're up here. Okay, basically, like I said, there's the middle of last week's range. We're above it. Okay, moving on to the bond market. The dollar and the VIX. That's your triple-headed monster. Let's go over to those. Here's your bond market. Look at that rally. Wow. Poor structure here, rip right back up, and you're basically at close to the most traded price of the last 5 years. You're in the middle of this muddle. You broke this downtrend, and it's just nobody knows what's happening with bonds right now. It's just in the middle. So that's where that is. All right, now you go to the dollar. Now the dollar, I keep saying that we're going to get some type of rally soon. I don't know when, but it's starting to work its magic here. Like I said, I want to see, could this be bottoming out? That's last month's lows, last week's lows. We'll have to see what the dollar does. Okay, moving on to the VIX. This is 30 days out of fear, 30 days out hedging. We're at a 16.96 VIX. So the VIX spiked up, but then that's pushed back down. Okay. And that's your triple-headed monster. Now we're going to move on to the hourly charts. Give me one sec here. I pull that up. Let me get my trusty marker out here. And this is your 1 hour charts here. Okay, so yesterday we had this trend line coming up here. It broke it. Okay, ripped down, went through this 62.75, the most traded price of the week right here. And you can see acted as resistance. We pushed back down into this demand zone. It's the first time we tested this anchored VWAP. Well, no, it's not true. This anchored VWAP happened to be support again. There's last month's highs. There's the month-to-date anchored VWAP right here. Okay, so we reclaimed this level. So really nothing to see here. We are in a short-term downtrend, long-term uptrend. We just have to see what transpires here. Again, I don't expect a ton in this summer trading, in this not a lot of data coming out. Okay, but just wanted to show you this. Right, we're above last month's highs, and we reclaimed the 62.75 level. Okay, now moving on to your NASDAQ. NASDAQ had this wedge going on yesterday that it broke. It was looking like this, and it was looking like this. Broke that right down. Okay, and that 22830 level, the most traded price of the week and the month, right here was the level I said to watch as your bull bear line. I said this in the pre-market yesterday. I wrote a bull bear line. I said it has to find acceptance below here. We came below it, closed up here, tried tested it again, and now look, we're back over it. That stays in the bull bias. Okay, you can see there's a little downtrend here causing some resistance, right? We reclaimed this anchored VWAP, right? The month to date anchored VWAP is right here. That also saved it. It is green, so that means buyers are still in control of this early month in July. Okay. So we tested this level and took it back. A lot of overhead supply here. We just have to see what transpires. All right. We got our volume down here. We're at 74% of volume, 70%. So the volume's not the best. Okay. Who knows what Trump's going to say today to boost volatility, because it was kind of crappy until the tariff on Japan and South Korea came out. Okay, that really pushed the markets. All right. All right. Now, give me a sec while we bring up market profile, volume profile. Alrighty. This is your market profile, volume profile analysis. I'm not sure who's with me today. I saw Pancake came in here yesterday. I haven't seen Pancake in a while. Not sure if Documents is watching. He said he was going to trade this week. No, not sure if Chief's out there. But if you are, say hi. If not, stay in the shadows. That is fine. We're just going to look at this profile. All right, it's your ES. Now, profile-wise, you can see this little push down. Then we have a value area all the way up to the top here. Okay, bunch of distributions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Bunch of distributions. All right, not a pretty profile at all. Okay, we want to recap yesterday. You can see the price action, pretty large range. All right, opened here, pushed up into the supply zone, and really just fell. You still have a poor low here. Okay, usually that gets corrected. Okay, just have to see. Looks like the most traded price of the month is going to move up here to right down here. Okay. Let's what else we're looking at here. Yep. So we push down, we reclaim this big level, the most traded price of the week. Okay. Now let's look at some prices that we can look at. Okay. So first one I already can see is value area low from yesterday, 62.59.50, coincides with this demand zone, overnight lows, yesterday's poor low. That will be an area the bulls want to defend it. Okay, so remember, value area represents roughly 70% of the trading yesterday. Okay, 70% of the trading. So that is one level to pay attention to. Okay, the next level just happens to be this supply. This is actually a 12-hour supply, this line. Okay, so this level here, we're going to look at it like this. Okay, so this represents the overnight high, 62.89. It represents value area high from yesterday and this supply. Also the most traded price of the overnight. So this is really the playground here. The overnight highs and the overnight lows. Okay, you do have a demand zone here. Right at the most traded price of the week, around that 62.75. Okay, price is right here. Now if we open this up, that's the price action overnight. Okay, so I think we're getting ready here. Now one more level to do here. We have supply here. This is yesterday's highs. The little overnight session here. All right. Why don't we get right into it? We're going to start with the bull side. So here's scenarios coming at you here. All right. So the market really immediately wants to hold this level, right? It's the most traded price of yesterday, most traded price of the week. Okay. So a couple things here. We could just come down here, push down to this end, hit the month to day VWAP, boom, higher lows, take this out and get into this supply and see if we can tag yesterday's highs. Okay. If we need farther correction in this market, and the market does this quickly, pulls down into this demand zone with this poor low, that poor low has to get corrected right here. That's 62.46. And if we retake this level, higher low, you can move back into range. Okay. That's kind of what I'm looking at as far as longs. Short side. Okay. Short side. Oop. Price is right here. Okay, you've got supply right here. So if the market does come up here, breaks this confluence high with the overnight highs and the value area high from yesterday, all right, but then fails, lower high, you're going to take some off here at the most traded price of the week. If you rip through that demand in the most traded price of the overnight, you're going to get and test the overnight lows, and you're probably going to come up to that 62.46 poor low down here. You could go to this support level right here at around 62.35. You break that, you might go to last week's lows. Okay. Now, if we did just push up really quickly into this area, then you get some lower highs, possibly go back. Okay. That's your scenarios for the ES. All right, now let's move over to the NASDAQ. Okay. Got pretty nice levels here to work with. All right. All right, here's your profile. So you do have some excess to the top, then value area, and then a little excess to the bottom. Pretty balanced in the NASDAQ. Okay, pretty balanced. Doesn't look like a mess as much as the ES does. All right. Now, right off the bat, got demand here. Got to start off with this 22830 level, which encompasses the most traded price of the week, the month. And then you have this yesterday's lows, 22780. You have demand here as well. That demand also encompasses the most traded price of yesterday. Okay. Next, you have supply, and you have a very almost equal high here in the overnight highs compared to yesterday's highs. So right in here, this supply becomes very important. Okay. There's a bullish imbalance to the skew of the overnight. Okay. You can see the most traded prices up here. All right. Let's spread this price action out so it looks more appeasing to the eye. Okay. And we're going to start off with the bull case. All right. So, markets here, prices right here, actually at the most traded price of the overnight. There's some support here. If we lose this, right, and you come down into this demand, the most traded price yesterday, that big 22830 level, if this holds, lower high, you're going to start to come up here and try to break yesterday's highs in the overnight and try to move up higher. Okay? And now this market can't be that weak in order to do that. Okay? Can't be that weak. Meaning the internals. Okay? You can even get a move all the way down past, hit yesterday's lows, come into these single prints, and if you reclaim quickly, that's also bullish. Okay? Now the move that I'm not crazy about is if we just pushed up, broke this yesterday's highs and overnight highs, came in, but there's so much supply up here, like it would probably be tough, and I would need a big pullback in order to want to join the party. Not a fan of that as much as this trade. Okay. Now, as far as shorts go, we're right here. We have supply here, right? Now, if we even push down here, pushed up, came up here and just took out yesterday's highs, then got failure and put some lower highs in. Now you could cook them with some. You're cooking here with a short, and then you could take these longs, come through, and you're going to test this area. Okay, if you come back to 22830, which is the bull bear line in the Nasdaq, if you take this out, you need to find acceptance underneath it. If you do, you're going to take out all these single prints and probably try to go down to last week's lows, 22584. Okay, that's when Elfie comes into the mix, elephant on a toothpick. Okay, because real quickly, this is a toothpick. This is your elephant of price action. All right? Toothpick should not hold up an elephant. Okay, it's got poor foundation down here. Now, just so you know, if it finds support in any of these single prints, that's pretty much bullish generally. Okay, so that is my scenarios today for you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed that analysis. Smash that like button if you can. All right. Also, hopefully you could join me every day. Subscribe, set an alert, have a cup of coffee, water, tea. Let me give you the story of the markets. If you don't have anything to do with trading, just watch the first 15-20 minutes. You get the overall vibe of the market news, general feel of the market. All right. But then a bunch of after that, you're a little more involved with TA. I go in detail with a lot of things. Hopefully you enjoy that. Okay. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Now remember, once the market opens, I use my market internals and I come up with more of a clear game plan around the key levels that I mentioned earlier. Okay, if you would like to see that live, please come join my Discord. That's this Confluence Trading, my Discord. Please go on my YouTube homepage and sign up and join the community. All right, more questions asked, I'll be happy to answer them. All right, now we have our plans. I'm not expecting much today. Summer trading. Okay, you just really got to know when to put risk on and risk off, maybe even half risk, quarter risk. So that's what I've been trying to do. Really just sit back, and if there's not something clear, I just don't do anything. Okay. All right. Everybody, have a great day. If I don't see you in my Discord, I will see you tomorrow morning. All right.